Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Crushing Land. Happy to be here with you again today as we talk about a relevant, important topic for your land investing business. And what we're going to talk about today is a lesson that I feel that so many land investors learn the hard way. And by learning the hard way, I mean it comes down to a lot of it is that they're trained wrong, or that they focus on the wrong things, or that they believe things incorrectly. And it's something that we talk about with our students and try to help them not even deal with right from the beginning. But a lot of people, because of what's out there, it's something that they face. And then as they get going, they come back and they realize, oh, I made this mistake and I need to correct this and I need to adjust this. And so we're going to talk about that today. And that mistake is that they are focusing on too many different strategies up front and trying to grow their business, or trying to implement too many different things. And really, what we tell people is you really need to focus on being proficient in a single thing before you add others to it. So there's so many different things out there, so many different programs, so many forms of education, and obviously they're all based on different forms of land investing, real estate investing in reality, right? We're talking about land here, but it's true for all different forms of real estate investing as well. So when you talk about land alone, I mean, you could be talking about, obviously people talk about flipping. That's a big one, right? And even within flipping, there's different ways of doing that. Buying them and then selling them quickly for cash, doing just assignments, what type of parcels you're going after, selling with owner finance, all of those different things. Then there's ones out there that focus only on subdivisions, right? Creating subdivisions out of properties. There's ones out there that focus only on entitling land, getting land that can be entitled and adding value to it, things like that. Arbitrage, which is basically, if you don't know what that is, it's basically, buying a whole bunch at once and then selling them off individually. So you think about like maybe like the pizza analogy, having a whole piece of a whole pie of pizza and then slicing it up and then selling off the slices individually. So that type of thing. So you're basically taking an asset and then reselling that asset, but by making little changes to it. And these are all different things that are taught, and they all work well. Don't get me wrong. They're all very valuable. But the problem is that people kind of get involved and they look at one, they're like, oh, I want to add that. And then they look at this and they're like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, and I want to do this. And I want to do this. And I want to do this. And it goes down the line. And because they never really got proficient at a single thing and understanding the underlying aspects to that part of their business, and then they go on to something else or they try to add it, it's really just creating more confusion for them. And like I said, a lot of this comes down to what's propagated out there, because there's obviously, I'm not the only one out there with a podcast. I'm not the only one talking about things like this. And some people are out there and they talk about these different strategies in real estate investing and land investing, whatever it may be. They talk about these different things, and they talk with people that are involved in these different things over and over and over again. And one of the things that you'll probably notice is you'll always hear the host say something along the lines of, well, I'm going to be implementing that immediately in my business. And it's literally like every time a guest says something like, oh, we're doing this and this and this. And then they say, well, I'm going to implement that immediately. And then, a different guest another week, I'm going to implement, and then down the line, somebody else, and I'm going to implement that immediately. And you keep hearing this over and over and over again. And the straight up truth is it's BS. They're not doing that. They're not going to implement it immediately. And if you look at the guest, the person that's actually talking, this is somebody that's probably made the mistake that we're talking about today. It's somebody that's probably gone out. It's somebody that has gone over and done a whole bunch of different things and played with 8 million different things, and then narrowed it down and figured out, man, I'm focusing on too many different things. I need to be honing my focus in. So if you actually listen to the guests, if you listen to the people that are talking on those things, you will notice that they are basically doing only a few things very well. They're not doing, they don't have their hands in a thing here and a hand thing here and a thing here and a thing here. They're not focusing on all of these different aspects and trying to figure out, no, they've honed in and they've got their focus on a few things that work very, very, very well for them. And I talk about different things in our business, and I'm going to talk about that as an example. And when we talk about our focus for 2025 next week, I'll mention this a little bit as well. But in my business, basically the thing that I've done very well is obviously buying and just reselling properties. So that's where our focus has been. Now, we've also done well with subdividing, we've done well with entitlements, we've done well with other things that I've mentioned, but it's more of we're not attacking those, it's as they're coming to us. But we also did it after we had some experience. And now, after I've been doing this for all these years, there's other things for 2025. I'm going to talk about it next week that I am looking at and going to add in as an additional aspect to do very, very well. And I'll break down what that actually means next week. But the point of that is that even at the stage that we're at, we're doing all of these deals and stuff. We're still focused on a few certain aspects that work very well, and then we're only adding to those things after we have honed in. We've got that down, and it's like, okay, maybe we can add something else in that we can do very, very well to add to this, right? As opposed to like trying to do all of these different things. So you've got to learn that lesson very early on, because if not, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I've been teaching land investing now for 8 years, I guess. 2016 I started. So I've been teaching land investing for 8 years. Before that, I was in real estate investing, just in houses and stuff. And I made that mistake when it was in the house world. Right? It was like we were shifting every little bit. And part of that was we had to shift based on the economic changes that happened in like 2008 and things like that. But part of the problem was that it was always like a completely different gear as to where we were going with things. And so because of that, yes, we did okay, we did well, we paid the bills, things like that. But it's like we never really got solid footing in one area because we were just hopping to the next, hopping to the next, hopping to the next. And so I learned that lesson the hard way in the housing world. Then when I came into land and decided to do that to supplement things, and then decide that's where I was going to go full force back in 2012, when we decided, hey, we're going full force with land at this point. Well, that's when I said, okay, we're going to hone in on a certain thing. And like I said, that's been basically just buying property and selling property, buying property and selling property. And we use different methods, obviously, to sell it. Some we buy straight out, some we double close, some we owner finance, all those different things. But again, set skills, right? Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, add in little nuances as we learn. And then from there, we've done other things when it makes sense looking at the property. Okay, it makes sense to take this further. But we never really focused on that because that obviously is a different business model. And now, after these years, okay, now we're going to be focusing on doing things differently, but again, within the parameters that we're setting. So it's something that we hear all the time. Again, like I said, I've been teaching this for 8 years. Dozens of students have heard them all say, they kind of go at shiny pennies, right? They're kind of like, oh, that sounds great. And a lot of that comes down to what's being portrayed, put out there, what other people are saying, because they bring in, and there's nothing wrong with hearing these ideas. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with hearing these ideas. These people that you're hearing from, if you're listening to different podcasts, some of them are phenomenal. I mean, some of them I listen to. I'm sure there's tons that I don't even know about. All of these different things, right? But as they are discussing these things, if you're really listening to the guests on there, that they're really honed in. They're really focused on a certain thing, and that's what's driven their success. Whereas, like I said, for the hosts of these shows, a lot of times it's about the ratings, it's about getting more people to listen, things like that. And they're all saying like, well, we're going to implement this, we're taking action right now, we're going to do this tomorrow. They're not, right? It's just not possible. It's not possible that is going to be the case. And maybe some ideas hit them like right square in the head, and they're like, wow, this makes sense, okay, I'm going to do this, right? But it's not going to be week after week or episode after episode or whatever it may be. So again, that's a true secret for success in this business, right? Focus on being very good, focus on being proficient, focus on understanding, focus on having your business running in a single thing, and then worry about adding in others if you worry about it at all. Because you may sit there and say, I don't really want to do this because I'm so good at this. There's tons of people that I know that have done that. There's people that have looked at this thing and said, I've got a flipping machine going when it comes to land. I've got a flipping machine going. And then they say, well, I want to add in entitlements. And then they start to dabble in that. And they're like, you know what? For the amount of time that I am spending on entitlements, I could take that time and I could put it into my machine, my flipping machine that's already running, and it's going to bring me even better results than the entitlement side is, right? So I've got a machine here for flipping going. I'm trying to add in entitlements, and doing that, it creates this. But if I take the time for entitlements and I put it into the flipping aspect because it's already running, because I know it, because it's been my focus, because I'm so proficient at it, I can actually blow that up even greater. That happens all the time. So many different students that I've worked with and different people that I've seen that have done that, and they've done very, very well with it. And again, some of the people that are running businesses that are like way up there, we're not, I mean, you can easily make this into a six-figure business, right? But we're not talking about six-figure businesses. Some of these people that are making seven, eight-figure businesses in land investing, if you go listen to what they're actually saying, that's basically what they did, right? Yes, they may do some deals here, they may do some things here. When it comes time to it, it may work out. But in reality, the bread and butter, what they're doing is they have that machine running in whatever sector it may be, whatever avenue of land investing it is, or real estate investing, and that's where they're pushing and that's where they're driving. So it is a secret for true success. It's one that I learned the hard way. It's one that pretty much every student, has learned the hard way. It's something that we try to overcome with our students early on. It's something that you really should focus on. If you do, you'll save yourself a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, and a lot of heartache. You'll get there a lot faster, and you'll be truly successful in this business. So thanks for tuning in to this episode of Crushing Land. We'll catch you next week as we go live. It's Zoom only. The details are in our Facebook group. If you want to join us, Zoom only, to have you be on there with us for that. As we discuss our outlook for 2025, Genius and I are going to be on. We're going to talk about what we expect to see in the real estate market for 2025. We're going to talk about what we're going to be doing in our businesses for 2025, where we're steering, things like that. And then we're going to open up for any questions that you may have. So if you want to join that, make sure in our Facebook group that you look at the featured post that gives you all the details on how to register for that event. In fact, we'll put the link here as well so that you could register for that event if you want. So it'll be down below here with the comments. So again, thank you for joining us this week, and we'll catch you next time live on Crushing Land.